What you've just done is that you've activated your parasympathetic nervous system. A couple weeks ago, I made a video about mental health tips for the second wave of the pandemic. Tip number 5 was all about having a daily meditation practice. So I wanted to expand on the idea of actually adopting a meditation practice today. I personally learned how to meditate ages ago, starting at age 17 when I was kidnapped and taken to a Buddhist monastery in the middle of nowhere and spent the whole day with monks. That's a story for another time maybe. And then I learned how to meditate again in therapy, but I didn't start meditating regularly until earlier this year. Honestly, for a long time, there was a chasm, and I think that this chasm exists for so many of us. So many people understand what the high-level benefits of meditation are, but yet so few of us actually practice meditation every day. I know for me that one of the blockages that stopped me from meditating every day, despite perhaps having a vague desire to, is not being able to wrap my head around the baby steps, the tangible baby steps of meditation. In my mind, it was almost as if either you are a Zen master with the ability to sit in total stillness and silence for extended periods of time, or you were a regular person with a far too busy and demanding life, and for the longest time, I would have loved to just comfortably sit in the latter category, until things didn't get so comfortable, of course. So in today's video, I want to go back to basics, and I want to share with you some techniques to use if you are new to meditation. Tip number 1, go outside and open your ears. One of my best meditation hacks for people who find it difficult to focus is to engage your sense of hearing. This is because the sounds of our environment are usually not paid too much attention to, and so if you start to pay attention to what you hear, you can open your sense of presence almost immediately. Think about it. In your day-to-day life, you either notice what's in the foreground and what's in the background. And when it comes to background noise, it's background noise for a reason. But in meditation, you can bring what's in the background to the foreground, and suddenly noticing the depth of your environment starts to become interesting. If you watch my daily routine video, you'll know that one of my favorite places to meditate is outside at the dog park. I've got a routine with my dog, Chadley. Within that routine is an opportunity for me to seat myself in my favorite spot and meditate. I'll close my eyes, and one of the first things that I like to notice is all the sounds going on around me. The sound of wind, birds, people, dogs. I don't know how to describe it any other way, but when I just noticed that for me, one of the truly enjoyable experiences of meditation is sort of listening to the symphony of sounds that otherwise go unacknowledged in my day-to-day life. Tip number 2, do a grounding exercise. A grounding exercise is a catch-all term for any therapeutic technique that gets you centered back to the here and now. It's an exercise that therapists like to teach their clients in a state of emergency. Let me give you an example of a grounding exercise, and then I'm going to explain why it works so well. The next time you notice yourself in a state of panic or worry, stop, pause, and breathe. Drop an imaginary anchor to the ground and look at your feet. You might even want to stomp them a few times. What do you feel? What is the sensation that you feel? The bare ground, your wet socks, the rubber soles of your shoes. What do you feel? What do you feel in your hands as well? Now look around you. What do you notice in your environment? What are some things that you see, some things that you hear, and some things that you might even smell? Take your time. We're in no rush, because the only objective of this practice is to notice. And once you've sort of centered yourself to the here and now, you can just check in with yourself. If you're practicing this in a state of emergency, I would imagine now that sense of emotional distress that had been weighing on you has now been alleviated. What you've just done is that you've activated your parasympathetic nervous system. You see, our nervous system mainly consists of 2 parts: our sympathetic nervous system and our parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is responsible for our body's unconscious actions. When you're sleeping in the middle of the night and you hear a strange noise and you get jolted out of bed, the act of being jolted out of bed or getting yourself out of bed is not a conscious action. It's not something you had to think about. That is your sympathetic nervous system being activated. It's responsible for your fight or flight bodily responses. Your parasympathetic nervous system, on the other hand, is responsible for your rest and digest bodily functions. You can think of them as mirrors of each other. When one gets activated, the other gets deactivated, and vice versa. So when you're ruminating over events that haven't happened yet, that is your sympathetic nervous system being engaged. Those are your fight or flight responses being activated. You might notice a rapid heart rate, a tightening of your chest, and a tunneling of your focus on a perceived psychological threat. This is why you want to do a grounding exercise to reactivate your parasympathetic nervous system and to get you back into a state of rest. Of course, the state of rest is where most of our sound decisions are made. Tip number 3, cover your breaths with awareness. Breathing is something we do automatically. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to force it. It just happens. And if you're starting out in meditation, one of the simplest things you can do is to simply pay attention to your breathing. Cover each inhalation and exhalation with your awareness. You might even want to count your breaths and to see how long you can stay focused on your breath before losing track. And of course, when you lose track of your breaths, of the number of your counts, simply start over again without judgment. And remember, being aware that you've lost focus is the practice itself, because an awareness that you are no longer present is in itself presence. I feel like that last point was pretty important. I might just reiterate myself. I remember that being an aha moment for me, was being told as I was learning that, hey, when you catch yourself slipping up, when you catch yourself being distracted or being lost in thought, simply come back and reorient yourself back into the present moment. You don't have to judge yourself. You don't have to be disappointed in yourself for having lost track, because the act of catching yourself and bringing yourself back in the now, that is the practice itself. Like I said, being aware that you're no longer present is in itself presence. And if you do that enough, over time, you're just gonna become better at being able to stay focused. That's it for our video today. If you found these tips to be interesting or helpful, please consider giving this video a like and leaving a comment down below. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, because I make videos like this at least once a week. Actually, specifically, I would want to know, if you're new, which of these tips were the most helpful to you? And if you're not new, how's it going? I don't know. I'm kind of running out of creative juices today. So I will see you in my future videos.